Hello everyone. So today we're going to paint this landscape. This is the view out of my window and I really love it. It's a very simple landscape and I wanted to kind of redo it in a live. We're going to begin with, I'm going to tell you what all material we are going to be using before we start. So we're going to use a pencil to sketch down a little bit of details of where we want what. Then we're going to use a light blue color, an orange for the lantern, and a yellow. You could use any yellow. I'm using this one, which is a little on the yellowish orange side and a warmer side, so I'm going to use this one. If you have a black color watercolor paint, that is great. If you don't, you could use acrylic, or you could also use your marker for the lantern. But for the tree, you will have to probably use a, if you don't have black, you use a dark brown, but I would prefer if you use black. For the brushes, I'm going to use a number 6 brush for the leaves and for these details. So anything that points will be a good brush to have. And for background, I'm going to use a flat brush like this. Today I'm going to use probably this one because this has a point also, so I don't have to switch too many brushes, but you could use a flat brush. And a water tumbler, tissue to, we're going to do these clouds with dabbing tissue on it, so please have a clean tissue with you, and also probably a cloth or a rag or even another tissue to clean your brushes every time. So, and also before we start, I have already taped down my paper. I would want you to go ahead and tape it down if you're if you haven't done it already. So give me a thumbs up, or give me a smiley, or shoot me a note when you're ready to start. I have prepared 2 sheets of paper so that I can do it twice, and then I can repeat couple of instructions. So I'm going to start with putting down where I want my lantern to be, or the street lamp to be. So you could use a ruler if you like more precision. Let it be very light, okay? So if you're following along, you want to keep the base of the first draw 2 lines, right, for the stand, and then for the base of the lamp you may want to draw a rhombus or a flat kind of a base, and then draw 2 lines Once you're done, I would want you to erase this upper part. So this lower part is a little bigger than the upper part. That's why I drew the line up before I, kind of connected them. And then I want a little bit of an arc shape. So I'm going to erase this and make it into an arc. Draw a center first and then kind of join it. And then the top. So you could either have a circle and a point. When you color it, it'll come out like this. But for now, you could just have as a circle and a, just a stick coming out of it. Once you're done with that, please have one more line, like there should be 4 dots on the top with equal distance. And join them to the base. Nitya, I'm going to repeat those steps once again. So this is, I wanted you to see this before you start. I'm going to repeat it all again on the second sheet of paper, so that if you've stopped at some step or missed some step, we'll do it once more. So let me start over. So we're drawing 2 parallel lines. Let those lines not be too thin. I mean, let them be little, far apart, so that it looks like a real sturdy lamp stand. And let it not be too long in proportion to your paper. After you've drawn this, draw a flat rhombus. And then, like I said, okay, if it's easier for you guys to draw it this way, you kind of can do is, before you start drawing rhombus, have a line on the bottom and have a line on the top, something like this, and then draw a rhombus around it. Just a little flatter version. We don't want it to be too pointy. So this is your rhombus, and then this is how you connect it. And we want an arc shape, like I mentioned. So once you've reached this stage, you erase this line and you make an arc shape. And make another parallel arc. Have a point in the center again. So how do you find a center for this? You have a center here for the rhombus. The same thing goes up, right? That's your center. And then you join that center to form a triangle. And then you have a circle on the top and a line. Are we good so far? You don't need to be very perfect with these. This is just for reference. We are anyways going to make it lighter by erasing it. So guys, don't stress over making it a very perfect lantern. This is just your guidelines. So once you've reached here, I'm going to erase this whole thing. You see this is what I want. I just want it to be faintly visible but not completely visible. Once you're at this stage, we're going to start painting. So use your flat brush to water down your paper. Just make sure that the whole paper is watered before you start painting your clouds, because otherwise the blue color won't flow properly on the paper and then you'll have harsh lines. This is basically your wet on wet technique. So once you watered it down, just tilt it a bit and see if you can still see the shine. That means it's watered down properly. Once you've reached this stage, add your light blue paint, whichever paint you want to kind of have your background to be in. So I'm going to start with my light blue paint from the top. So like we spoke last time about the gradient, if you want that gradient look, just keep going down. I'm going to go back into the paint and start back from the top. Generally, the blue dries a little lighter than what it looks when it's wet. So that's why I'm going a shade dark. So once you reach this stage, now is the fun part. So what you do now is you take your clean tissue paper, okay, and then I want these kind of clouds, right? So I'm going to start from the top and I'm going to do, just look at how I'm doing it. I'm going to pinch it into this small and then I'm going to start. And do not use the same side over and over, just now another clean side, right? Since the clouds are not any particular shape, you can just do as you please. Some small clouds. So yeah, this is probably how I do it. But you have to be really quick while your paper is wet, otherwise you will lose the chance to lift up the paint. So now you can see my paper is dried up, so I'm not able to lift up much. Once you've reached here, if your paper has dried up, great. If it hasn't, if you have a hair dryer handy, no, you don't have to do the gradient, but if you do the gradient, you can see the clouds very well. And basically you're going to cover this page, this paper, this side of the paper anyways with a tree and this with a lamp, so it doesn't matter so much. So you're okay if you don't want to do gradient, or if you're unable to do it right now. I'm going to wait for my paper to dry up a bit before I start next step. So next we are going to start with the lamp. So for the lamp, first thing what I'm going to do, if your paper is still wet, that's really great. If it isn't, I'm going to water it again, and I'm going to try to lift the paint. So I'm going to go back with the tissue and wipe it off, because when I mix blue and yellow, it turns into green, which I don't want my lamp to be green. So I'm just going to lift this center part. So if you don't have a watercolor paper, this might be very difficult to achieve, but since my paper is thick and meant for watercolors, I can wet it number of times and lift it. Now once I'm done with that, I'm going to go in, leave the center, so first I left the center unpainted, then I did the yellow. I'm going to go with the orange on the corners. And for the triangle, I'm going to go directly and do the orange. So after I did this, I'm going to clean my brush and then go and make sure that the yellow and orange blend in well. So with a clean brush, I'm just going to go around about so it blends well. And now is my favorite part, to make the leaves and the tree. So I have this in mind, so it's going to be like this. So I'm going to start with just play with the color in a way that you're just drawing leaves or branches. So if I have a branch here, maybe, you know, leaves on it. So you don't have to be perfect with these, just twigs, and you know, have fun. So once you've reached this stage of the tree, you want to show a little more dense inside and a more lighter, you know, what do you call, a little less leaves on the outside, right? So you go back, you know, wherever there are gaps, just try to fill it with more leaves. Once you've reached this stage, right, I actually want my tree to be bigger, so I'm gonna go further. So now I'm going to start with the squiggles. I'm going to go a little more further and I'm going to add squiggles here. So what you need to do for that is, if you're not able to do it with this number brush, you can go with the little more thinner brush and just draw a few lines like a shaky hand. So pointy brush and shaky hand. So this is our tree. Now coming back to my lamp, right? While the tree dries up, we're going to do the outline for the base. So this is still wet, as you can see. I'm not going to touch that. I'm going to just do the line here. So guys, if you're not very comfortable with a thin, go for a thinner brush, and also you can move your sheet in the direction that you're more comfortable in, but just make sure you don't touch the wet paint on the tree. Now if your lamp hasn't dried, don't go for this, but if it has dried up, if to check, you can just kind of touch your hand and see. Mine has, so I'm going to just go So when you're doing the lines or the border for the lamp, right, I want you to have a look at this. Try and keep the center lines a little faint and the lower lines a little darker. So let's take an attempt at it. Let me just do this. So far so good. So you see my brush is really pointy and I'm able to achieve these thin lines. If you're not able to do that with a brush, please feel free to use a marker. I generally use this graphic marker to do those lines. This is a alcoholic I think archival ink, right? So it doesn't, if I paint over it, it doesn't bleed or spread across. So I use that. If you have something like that, please do use that. It's not always advisable to take these chances if you don't have a proper brush. So here we are almost done with the lamp. Now for this part, if you can see, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down and then I'm going to leave in the center and then again go down from the lines that I had drawn earlier. Same thing, I'm going to go on the other side. And after this, I'm going to wash my brush. Take a little bit of black, not much, mostly water, and then I'm going to draw the line. I need to clean this up. This is not very neat. Or the second option, if you're not if it bleeds like this for you too, the second option is to go with a brown. I'm going to take this brown, mix it a little bit with black. When I get this color, I'm going to draw a line with that. That's it. And you're done. And now for the birds. So this though this landscape is complete, it looks pretty incomplete, or it just needs some more energy. Whenever you feel that way in a landscape, just add a few birds. And here we are, done with the landscape. Thank you guys for joining in and painting along with me. It was a really fun afternoon. In case you have any questions or anything that you want me to do again, let me know. I can redo a certain portion on the other sheet. If you also want to kind of, you know, improve your lamppost a little bit, you could add these tiny details. I think the paint was wet that place, and when I went in there, it just bled through the whole thing. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to correct that. That's it, guys. Thank you. And see you sometime later. Bye. Please do drop me your questions. I'm going to surely answer it over the chat. But I'm going to stop the live now. Thank you.